Simplify 7n squared over n plus 6 divided by 14n cubed minus 56n squared all over 12n minus 48 and find its domain. So first off, when we divide rational expressions like this, we multiply by their reciprocal. So we just change it to multiplication and flip or take the reciprocal of what we're dividing by. And now from here we can simplify, cancel, factor, all that good stuff. So first off, this expression, 7n squared, can't really factor that. N plus 6 can't factor that either. But here, 12n minus 48, we can factor out a common factor of 12. So because 12n divided by 12 is just n, and negative 48 divided by 12 is just negative 4. In the denominator here, we have 14n cubed minus 56n squared. These have a common factor of 14n squared. 14 because it's a factor of 14 and 56, and n squared, which is a factor of n cubed and n squared. So 14n squared divided by 14n cubed is just n. Negative 56n squared divided by 14n squared is just negative 4. And so now we can cancel. You can see we have n minus 4 over n minus 4. Those cancel out. You can see we have 12 over 14. Those have a common factor of 2. And so we can simplify it to 6 over 7. And you can see we have n squared divided by n squared, which those cancel out. And so all we're left with is 7 over n plus 6 times 6 over 7. But you can see we have 7 over 7 here. And so we can actually cancel those out as well. And so all we're left with, if we multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, all we're left with is 6 over n plus 6. So that's our final answer. And as for the domain of this, well, any restrictions on the domain for this expression would be if the value of n made the denominator equal to 0. So let's use this denominator first, n plus 6. You can see if n is negative 6, this expression would be undefined. That's not in the domain. And next we can do this one, 12n minus 48 equals 0. Add 48 to both sides, divide both sides by 12, and we get n is equal to 4. But also, we have to take into account this denominator here, and what values of n would make this denominator equal to 0. Because well, first off, it's a denominator, so if it's equal to 0, it's undefined. But also, check out the original expression. If, say, this whole expression up top was equal to 0, in other words, like this, if we plugged in our n value and it became 0, then it'd be 0 over something, which is always 0, and then we'd be dividing by that 0. And so obviously we can't divide by 0, and so we have to, that would not be in our domain. And so we have to also set this equal to 0. We could factor it like we did up here. Factor out a 14n squared. And so now we have the product of two terms is equal to 0, and so we isolate each term, set that equal to 0. So divide 14 on both sides, and then take the square root of both sides, and we see n is equal to 0. N minus 4 is also equal to 0, and so n equals 4. And so if we take the summation of all of our excluded values, all the values that are not in our domain, we have negative 6, 4, and 0. That's a 4 again. So we say that our domain is n cannot be negative 6, 0, or 4.